everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads. I'm your host, Sam, and today we're looking at draft tiers. Once again, you might already be aware that I've spent the last 8 episodes, maybe more, 8 episodes going through all of the rosters of all of the teams, one by one, and picking out my favourite players and putting them in tier lists. And it started out here, and all of this was to create something for you guys. So as a plug, if you are supporting the podcast on rugbywithpads.com for as little as £1, I will send you this. It might not be to your taking. You can have it in Google Sheets form, you can have it in any form you would like, but I will give you this beautiful thing that you cannot see if you're listening on audio. So I advise you go and take a look at the either at rugbywithpads.com or take a look at the YouTube channel. But what we've created here is a tier list that you can use for your draft. Ultimately, this is my version, and if you're lazy and don't want to create your own, that's fine. Pick mine up for as little as £1. That's all you can do to support the pod. What we have is in each of the main 4 skill positions, so quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, I have put in a lot of effort to put in a couple of words about each player. So effectively doing a player profile across 250 players and ranking them in tiers. Now, we've talked a lot about tier-based ranking in the past. Tier-based ranking, for my money, is better than value-based drafting, is better than ADP, obviously, and gives you an idea of the kind of players you can get. So I might be shooting for Lamar Jackson. However, if I get Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels, they're in the same tier. To me, they have very similar outcomes, very similar profiles. They all have their pros and cons. For example, Lamar, you're banking on those running yards. On Josh Allen, you're banking on those goal line carries. For Jaden Daniels, you're banking on those scrambles. But either way, they are giving you what I'm deferring to as a generational talent. Now, I won't go through every single player, and you'll get more familiar with this over the next few weeks when I do more drafts and get into it. But I wanted to take you through some of the key players and how I'm going to use it, because this isn't its final form. The whole idea about this one is you can use it on draft day, and you can choose if you're going to ignore a player based on who you've drafted already. You might choose to say like players taken, for example, and just write them off your list, and you can follow along with this. And it's all interactive, so even the ones you've drafted, you can track there, so you know who else you may or may not want to draft. It's very difficult in the heat of the moment to do that. We talked a lot about draft day preparation, and you're not prepared until you get hit in the mouth and work out how prepared you are. So that's why we put this together. And I just wanted to kind of talk through some of the key tiers here. And I'll go position by position. We've done it all already to death over the last eight episodes or so. But I thought it might just be worth recapping the key players and the key types of players that you're looking for. So let's start off with QB, and we've talked about the generational talent players. These are the dual threat quarterbacks who can do it all. These are your Lamar Jacksons, your Josh Allens, your Jaden Daniels in this tier, all of whom have huge rushing upside, huge touchdown upside, and can all throw it again. What I've done though is I've given, and I've called it a ceiling and floor play across all of these guys. And if you get the sheet and you can see it on this, if you're so speaking, you can just copy it now, do a screenshot, happily for you to do that. But it's all that support in the pod anyway. The floor play gives you either a reason not to go for someone, so what could their floor actually be, or could you give you a reason to go for someone. So in the better players, you have floor plays which are great. So we talked about the running plays, running back yards, and the scrambles. Ceiling players is how high they can go, and again, for your best players, the ceiling is going to be really high. And what you really want out of a good player, and what the tiers kind of suggest, is a really good player has a high floor and a high ceiling. Bad players generally have a low floor, and there's a reason for that. And we'll take another player here. We'll talk about the Giants QBs, for example, bottom of my list, and they are with a bunch of others. But the Browns QBs, I said, I've just wrote unknowns. Who is it? Yeah, that's why when you're drafting, you're not taking these guys. Now, but the ceiling play for those is, for the Browns, is a bad team in general. Is my ceiling high? No, it's not. For the Giants QBs, however, I might be more interested. The neighbours connection is actually interesting. So you might have some players lower down the list who have very, very high variance, and that might be an indicator of these tiers. But yeah, you can kind of see from the descriptions how I view them. So got generational talents, and we'll have different versions of that across all of the skills positions. You have your locked-in QB1s. That's your Burrow, Nix, Murray, Jalen Hurts. Your league winners, and your league winners is interesting because these are the guys that are fringe QB1s and can really do something depending on the team makeup. Now, you'll notice across all three of these, there is more than 12 players, and we're talking a basis on 12-man PPR. There's actually 16 across these top three, and said, well, does that mean the last few can actually be league winners? And league winner doesn't mean it's going to win your league from day to day, but in any given week can do you a fantastic job in different ways. Jordan Love, for example, so Jordan Love it is dependable. Is his floor play? You know, he doesn't throw many bad balls. I think his decision making is good. His ceiling play is he's got so many options. Are they the best options though? That's an interesting thing. And his variance is low, but his ceiling is relatively high still. It's not the highest, but it's not. It's I think his ceiling is higher than let's say a Trevor Lawrence potentially, who's I think so reliant on Liam Cohen. And that's why he's in my late value tier here. But then you look at Penix, whose variance is really high. His floor, I think, is his decision making, but he's completely unknown, and he does have a rushing upside. So it could be really high variance within the league winner, and they can win your league in different ways. So in that crew, I've got Mahomes, Herbert, Purdy, mainly for a volume play, Stroud, low floor because of the O-line troubles, but really high form if he captures his rookie form. Love, Penix, Fields, and Drake May. And then I've got your late values. These are generally guys who are pocket passers, do the traditional QB stuff well, but aren't necessarily your generational guys. Goff, Stafford, Geno, Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Rodgers, Dak, all of those guys. And then you have your streamers. Everyone else is basically a streamer, and I've done it across all the teams. Running back, similar kind of thing. It's a bit different because I probably have a shorter change around here, but your game changers are your Gibbs, your Bijan, Robinsons, it's your CMC, Saquon. I'm not going to do the analysis here. Go and have a look at it yourself. In your RB1s, these are your workhorses. These are ones you can depend upon. Henry, Jacobs, Bucky Irvin, Genti, Achan. I think that's a relatively straight. A lot of people would say Genti is generational, move him up. I've got him down there because I think the O-line improvements give him a ceiling, but could also give him a floor as well. You've got league winners with high variance, Chase Brown, JT, Kamara, Chuba Hubbard, RJ Harvey, Amarian Hampton, who I'm getting better on, Kyren Williams, Connor, and Breece Hall. Flex value, pretty much everyone else who is fitting the flex, and your DeAndre Swift, those kind of guys, Pollards. For me, I'm really low on Kenneth Walker. You might be really high on Kenneth Walker. It's up to that. And then you've got your handcuffs, who I think are really important for when you're drafting later on. The guys who can come in and make a real big difference. And I've given a view on their current position based on what they are, and you'll see a lot of them are in committees or their current backups. You've got, for example, both the New York Giants running backs in this mix as well, but they're alongside Zach Charbonnet, who has flashed fantastically, and that's why I'm down on K9, because I don't think his longevity for the whole season, he's not there for the whole season. You're not going to want to draft him that high because you're going to be balancing your risk, but we'll get into draft strategy as well. And then there's everyone who you ignore, and that tops the list with Devin Singletary, who I couldn't say a nice thing about. I'm afraid he's just one of those players you just don't want on your team. In the wide receiver tier, you have quite a good chunk of elite hands, and that's why I've named the first lot of guys: Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Lab McConkey, Puka, CeeDee Lamb, and you have locked in guys as well. And this goes down to 17 because there's such high value when it comes to PPR, and this is a PPR framing of my first pick or first two pick be wide receiver and go 0 RB elsewhere, based on the fact that you want these guys to really go out and perform super well and be your guys throughout. So yeah, the locked in guys for me: DK, Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins, London. Lots of different reasons there, but you can kind of see Ayuk de facto. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably a brave pick out of a lot of them, but I think his floor has definitely been seen. If he gets the wrong route selection, but his volume next year could be incredible if he gets every phase usage as we would expect him to do. JSN, Garrett Wilson, Neighbours, who I'm low on compared to a lot of other people, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin. I see them all in a big chunk. I would love one or two of any of them. Your league winners are where it gets interesting, and you've got T. Higgins, Jameson Williams, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Godwins, those kind of guys. Olave Mooney, I'm very high on him. T-Mac, Rashee Rice, I'm down on him because of his availability potentially. Pickens and Devonta Smith, really interesting bunch there, but with wide receivers, you're going to need more of them in a PPR setting. Those are the ones where you're going to have 5 or 6 of them potentially on your lineup. So you're going to need league winners in any one given week. And again, you might say that I think AJ Brown is going to be my league winner and he's going to be locked in 1, and Rice might be my ride or die wide receiver 2, and it could be league winner. It could be league winner on consistency potentially. He might just get enough targets. If there's an availability, that's why you might want to stack up with multiple of these guys. So they're not league winners on their own potentially. They can be league winners in combination. There's a lot of flex value going on here, and I won't go through the whole list. I would encourage you to come and have a look at the YouTube video and see what you think. But some interesting ones in flex value. I've dropped Shakir because upon looking at him, he hasn't gone better than wide receiver 36 in a season. Yes, availability has been part of that, but even as number 1 there, can you trust Josh Allen to throw to him all the time? I can't do it. And then you've got a bunch of sleepers for lots of different reasons, and a bunch of people ignored as well. And tight end, I've got some interesting players there, but you know what? I'm not going to get into this now and just go through every single player. And if you're watching on YouTube, I've peeled back the curtain and you will see a sleeper page. And this is a mock-up of my draft when it comes to, it's a PPR draft, for my keeper league. My keeper league is my main league that I have. It's the one that I've won. Where's the trophy? This trophy on 2 occasions in the last 3 years. Rugby Tots and Tyrannosaurus Rex are the champions, most recent as well. A couple of other people have won it twice as well. It's very much one that's kept between a few people, but there's 10 people in this league and we want to do it. And last couple of years, we switched to a keeper league. I won it last year, so I'm drafting from the 10. I am planning on keeping Jaden Daniels from the 9th round, but elsewhere, you've got Khalil Shakir being kept, and these are predicted. Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Lamar Jackson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Bucky Irving in the 15th. That's a good one. Jordan Love in the 10th, Brian Thomas Jr. in the 8th. Good one again. George Kittle in the 5th. Decent value. So what I'm going to go and do is go and take a look at my my list here, and I'm going to mark McBride, Kittle, Bowers, all taken. So that almost that wide receiver 1 tier of tight ends wiped out in a single blow. Yeah. Not very brave at all. I'm ignoring any other QB. You can see I'm just filling it out here. I'm ignoring everyone else and it just blanks out. And you might want to do that. If you're only, this is a 1 QB league. So the rules are 1 QB, 1 running back, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex. It's only wide receiver or running back, a kicker and a defense, and a few slots elsewhere. So I'm only ever going to pick Jaden Daniels. Who else is going to come in there? You know, unless I had Lamar as well, who am I going to pick between? So give myself some options. Khalil Shakir is getting wiped out. I've mentioned him already, but he's been taken, so I can't take him again. Where do I have him? Is he in flex value? He is indeed. So I can't take him, so he goes into the red. Jackson Smith and Jigba, a much better player and a much better pick, but obviously he's given up a 10th for that, but been taken over there. Bucky Irving was in my top as well. I think he's obviously going to be one of those guys that you want to have coming out of a draft, but he's been taken already, so I get to remove him. And I'll go in down the list and I'll kind of fill some of these other guys out. Brian Thomas Jr., Jordan Love's already been taken, Kittle, and I think that's me started. So this is the first time I'm doing a draft for this league. For a start, I'm going to be focusing on RB and wide receiver, as you well know, until I see some value. And you'll notice as well, I've done the tier list without prejudice of ADP. ADP changes, value doesn't. The way you perceive value doesn't. Yes, the particular value in a particular situation might change your opinion on a value of a certain player, but ultimately value doesn't change. unless something drastically changes, like they change a team, contract can change as well, injuries, etc., I'm not shifting my value proposition. So this is going to hopefully illuminate some picks that I see of value. And if I see, for example, Derek Henry being top of my list coming through, and he comes in at the third round, I'm going to pick him regardless of value. I know I've got a good team coming up. So without further ado, I'm going to turn off notifications so it's not blow your ears out and start the draft. And obviously it's a CPU draft to start with, so of course they're going to go Saquon, Chase, Jefferson, Bijan Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors. Now that's interesting because that's wiped out Gibbs, it's wiped out Bijan for me as well. It's wiped out Saquon, and there is someone very obviously coming out in the running back room. And I'll get back to that in a minute as well. If you're on YouTube, you can definitely see it. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been taken. Ladd McConkey hasn't been, but Puka has. And Malik Neighbors, who I'm a bit lower on, has been taken as well. So again, that leaves me with a couple of players who I'm really, really high on in that grouping as well. The obvious picks here are one of three. And if I look at my top tiers in areas I want to get, I've got CMC as my top tier. Injuries is a thing, yes, of course, but CMC mode. If he is CMC, he is CMC. I've also, in my elite hands, I've got Ladd McConkey and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb led me to a title in this. Oh, no. Around there, because I think he is a step above Nico Collins and DK Metcalf based on opportunity alone. And what he did last year when, funnily enough, I think having other wide receivers around him will open him up even further, even though he did amazing on himself. I've got Kelsey as my last remaining tight end, and if I look at where Kelsey's being drafted, he's at 73. So I know he's going to be around there later on because not many people are going to be drafting like me. So I'm thinking about Christian McCaffrey in the wide receiver room. I'm thinking about Ladd McConkey, but I've got back-to-back picks because I'm at the 10 spot here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick those two guys. I'm going to pick Christian McCaffrey up at the 10. Risky. And I'm going to pick Ladd McConkey, and I'm going to mark those guys as picked and see what happens next. And in my beautiful spreadsheet here, drafted, goes green, love it. And I'm going to have to think about what's next. In the second round, obviously Derek Henry goes, Nico Collins, Genty, Drake London, Devon Achane, or Devon Achane, or however you want to pronounce it, Josh Jacobs, AJ Brown, Taylor, Higgins, Kyren Williams, Josh Allen goes. Trey McBride was I think he was a sleeper pick or a keeper pick. Yes. Tyreek Hill goes super early. Cook, Brown, Evans, Harrison, Breece Hall, and then it's back to me. And I'm taking a look at my next in my list on my tiers, and I still don't want to go tight end yet. It's not ready for that, and I'll probably go a bit later tight end, seeing as I'm having to draft late anyway. I'm going to have to pick up as much value as I can in the multi positions, so the running backs position as well. So Josh Jacobs already taken, Henry already taken, Genty already taken, Achane already taken, which means I'm down a tier on running back. So I'm very glad I went running back early. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have had a chance at an RB1 workhorse. I've got a game changer. Really happy that I'm leaving it with that one. DK, has he gone? DK hasn't gone yet. Nico Collins has gone. Who else has gone? Drake London has gone. Yeah, AJ Brown has gone. Terry McLaurin's still there. Garrett Wilson's still there. Marvin Harrison Jr. is still there. Ayuk's still there. Other players of note, I mentioned already, Tyreek's gone. I'm not seeing him in the third. I really don't like it. He's still injured at the moment. Mike Evans is gone, but Godwin is still there, and I've got them kind of on par for different reasons. Marvin Harrison Jr. is there. So if I looked at my kind of available players, again, in my top tiers, DK, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin are still fantastic in wide receiver one world. I've got pretty much all of my league winners available to me. Oh, Chase Brown's gone already, and I think I've got Cook way down. I don't even know where I've got James Cook, but I'll hunt him out later. Chase Brown's gone. Kyren Williams has gone. Unfortunately, I would love to pick up him because he's probably nearer the top of that tree for me. and Taylor's already gone. So I'm down to the Kamara, Chuba Hubbard, RJ Harvey, and Omarion Hampton. I like Omarion Hampton, but I'm actually going to ignore Omarion Hampton because I've got Lad McConkey. I don't want too many opposing things on that Chargers offense, so he's already wiped out. Breece Hall has been taken. Did I say Connor's been taken as well? I can't see him, but Connor is a really interesting position for me. I might come back to him, but let's go after the guy I would want at the top. Yes, I would love Kelsey because I think he's fantastic. Do I like DK? I do like DK. He's the only real viable target. He's got incredible physicality. He is a true number one. Ayuk is a de facto number one, but I think that with sounds of other things going on, unless I had him in a stack with Purdy, I'm not really feeling him. So I'm actually going to ignore Ayuk based on the situation that I've got. Plus, I've got Christian McCaffrey. I'm interested in that connection, not other 49ers connections here. Garrett Wilson is interesting to me. First read the Fields connection back from Ohio State is really interesting, and Terry McLaurin. So I'm going to put Garrett Wilson, who is currently top of the ADP here in wide receiver. Terry McLaurin is just behind him. So you can see already using this tracks to ADP a little bit, and not just by groupthink as well. But then it suggests Rashee Rice and Devontae Adams. So I'm thinking about who's next. I've already ignored Omarion Hampton. I've got 2 picks on the go here. And then I'm going down to my next tier, and I'm thinking I might go wide receiver, and go late running backs to get some value here. So because I'm seeing, who's not going to come back around. DK is not going to come back around. That eliminates that tier. I want Garrett Wilson. I want Terry McLaurin. And you know what? I've just thought of something. It's Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is the answer here for this pick. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. I have got the Jaden Daniels stack. That's what I want. I want to maximize that value pick as much as I can. Elsewhere, I'm thinking about who's the second wide receiver, and I probably would rate Garrett Wilson a bit higher than DK. I think DK has just, even though he's got the physicality, not been backed by the money nearly as much. I think Garrett Wilson has just the opportunity to be better. Yes, do I worry about Fields? I do, but he is effectively my third wide receiver, and to have my third wide receiver being Garrett Wilson. Yeah, let's take a look at his stats of recent years. They're probably not as amazing as I thought, but wide receiver 21, wide receiver 26, wide receiver 10 on a bad season last year. Garrett Wilson, get on my team. So this is the power of drafting in tiers. Players are going to go via ADP generally. DJ Moore, Omarion Hampton, Adams, Rice, Mixon, Walker, Burrow, Metcalf, Hurts, Kamara, Worthy, Smith. Jackson is already picked as a keeper. Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Pickens, Sutton, Kittle, and I'm thinking about who's next on my list. I've already said Jameson Williams has been taken. Did I say T Higgins has been taken? Probably didn't, but DK had. Anyway, I'll come back to that. He was probably taken way earlier, unless I'm being really stupid, because he is a very interesting play for me. DJ Moore has been taken. Godwin's still available. Olave is still available. Mooney's still available. Rice has been taken. He's lower down on my thing. Devontae Adams has been taken. Waddle's still available. Did I say Pickens has been taken? Pickens has been taken. And so, oddly enough, has some of the players down here a little bit. So I'm going to start getting like Cortland Sutton. He's in the flex value spot. People are going after their wide receiver 3s and getting flex value. I went after my wide receiver 3 and I got wide receiver 1 value. That's the way I tune this out. So I'm not kind of tooting my own horn, but it's not been terrible for me so far. Worthy is on there, but Worthy is on my sleeper list at best. I think I'm actually ignoring him, so I'm not even going to go down to that list. And by the time I get through the next couple of rounds, I'll probably just fly by the seat of my pants a little bit. So there's some options available to me in the wide receiver room. T Higgins is interesting. Godwin's interesting. Olave, very interesting to me. Darnell Mooney, T Mac. Waddle, I think, could be interesting as well. It could work for the setup that I've got, but I kind of feel like I need to pay attention to running backs as well and see if there's any real value there. Omarion Hampton's already gone. I talked about him. Has Connor already gone? James Conner, has he already gone? I need to go look for him, but Kamara definitely has gone. Chuba Hubbard hasn't gone. Chuba Hubbard has gone. Here. I'm thinking about him as my next pick because him as an RB2 based on volume is amazing. And I kind of look at him. The floor against him is miles on the clock. Yes, he could get replaced. Could I pick up Trey Benson? I think he's a really interesting handcuff. I'm probably going to end up picking up 2 handcuffs in here because I've got quite a high T offense here. So, there's some interesting players to think about. RJ Harvey could be interesting, but if I look at him, he's a bit further behind. I feel like I just need to go for the consistency of James Conner, especially when I've got the potential inconsistency of CMC. So James Conner, get on my lineup. He's a Mark Green, and I'm probably going to ignore RJ Harvey unless I go back-to-back running backs. And let's take a look at the tight ends again. No more tight ends have gone. It's very depressed position. And I've got, my next on the list is Travis Kelce. And do I think he gives a positional value increase over others? I really do. And if I look at who's got tight ends, everyone needs a tight end except the guy with Terry McBride, Brock Bowers, and George Kittle. I feel like it gives such an improvement, and he's very unlikely to get back to me, that I think I need to draft him. So I'm going to take a branch, and this is why we mock. I'm going to take a chance on Travis Kelce, and I believe that in the Mahomes trust, and he is my number one tight end, and I've got him in the first pick of the 6th round. And you can see the run on tight ends go straight away. Zay Flowers, followed by Hockenson, Montgomery, Laporta, RJ Harvey, Tetairoa McMillan, Teron Henderson, Aaron Jones, Godwin, Pacheco, Hunter. Interesting, he's going in the 7th. That's the first time I've kind of seen this happen. Quinton Judkins, I think he'll be depressed value based on what's happening. Caleb Johnson, Mahomes, Mayfield, Olave, Nix, Goff, and back to me. And I've then just got to think about who's next and what my team needs. If we look at my team at the moment, I'm really happy with it. I've got 2 running backs. I've got 2 wide receivers, a 3rd wide receiver in the flex, Travis Kelce and Jaden Daniels. I am laughing here. This is a lovely team, and I really do enjoy it. I'm just going to, unless he is so well depressed. Let's just have a quick look on the map here. Higgins. Yeah, he must have gone. I can't even pick him out of the list here. You're probably screaming at your phone now and saying, he's there. I'm sure he is, but I just cannot see him. Probably, yes, he went in the second round. Of course he went. So I'm going to have to play him off already, because he would be a fantastic player, but he's too rich for me. In the 2nd round, do I see him as having value? No, when I'm getting people like Lad McConkey in the 2nd round, and players who are in my game breakers as well. So that's not worth it for me. Godwin, as I said, has already gone. Did I say Olave's already gone? Unfortunately, yep. Donnell Mooney's still available. T-Max has gone. Has Waddle gone? Jalen Waddle staring at me right at the top. So I'm staring down the barrel of a Jalen Waddle decision here. I also like Darnell Mooney. Mooney will probably still be available, though. And this is where you've got to use these tiers not in isolation. Let's have a quick look at Mooney. Where is he? Darnell Mooney down at 109. We're at 68 here. I can come back for Mooney, and I probably will do. So I'm going to take the obvious option and go with a player who I think could be fantastic. He's fantastic. And I've also got to consider that I've got back-to-back picks on my next one as well, and one of those picks is Jaden Daniels. So I've got to think about fleshing out my lineup. I am still worried about my running back position. So let's go take a look at the running backs and who's available. RJ Harvey has unfortunately gone. Monty has gone. Swift is still there. Aaron Jones has gone. I think Mixon went already. He was a fantastic player I would love to have on my side. Pacheco has gone. Tyler Algier is there. I don't think he has as much standalone value, and I'm probably going to move him down my ranking, but that's there. James Cook has already gone. I've already seen him. Brian Robinson is interesting, but then you're getting down to this. So I've got a couple of picks here. I've got the likes of DeAndre Swift, who I think could be really interesting with the upside of Ben Johnson. I've got Warren. Is he still available? Why aren't I seeing him? Brian Robinson's still available as well. Has Warren already been picked? Again, you're probably shouting at the screen. No, Jalen Warren's down at 90, so he will probably come back to me. I'm thinking with the split here, and I think with the upside and the Ben Johnson of it all, and let's take a look at his competition here. I'm thinking of DeAndre Swift might be a really interesting pick. I do love Pollard as well, actually, here, and he's probably the guy who could come up from the flex value conversation here. A bit more, depending on his snap percentage. I'm worried about Tyjae Spears. DeAndre Swift, despite being a bit of a joke, hasn't put up anything but a wide receiver, a running back 2 seasons. So, you know what? he might not win me weeks and weeks, but I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. So my team at the moment stands at Jaden Daniels throwing to Lad McConkey and Terry McLaurin for the beautiful, beautiful team up there. Yes, there's going to be touchdown regression. Is it going to be as much as everyone thinks? I don't think so. Garrett Wilson at the flex, running backs Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, tight end of Travis Kelce, Jalen Waddle and DeAndre Swift. And now we're going to go a bit more on vibes. After my picks, Jordan Addison, Brian Thomas Jr., how is he this low? I'm just having another look at him. I don't know how I missed that. I thought he'd gone already for Brian Thomas Jr. there. And be careful, guys, because you can go wrong on this. And I went on this already. I already thought he'd gone. Maybe I should have looked at that. But Brian Thomas Jr. going in the 8th at the moment. I don't think he'll be going in the 8th later on. Pollard, who we already talked about, gone. Ridley, Mark Andrews, Jonnu Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Tyron Tracy, Odunze, Samuels, Diggs, that's Debo Samuels, Diggs, Myers, Jennings, Brian Robinson, who I already talked about, wouldn't come back to me, Najee Harris, Cup, who I think was a great value, Jalen Warren, who didn't come back to me, so I'm glad I went for DeAndre Swift, and Brandon Ayuk. Some interesting players here. Staring down the ADP, there's no one of interest to me, so I'm going to go back to my book here. And I'm thinking about Darnell Mooney. He's still readily available for me. I've got the Waddle pick. I want another wide receiver. This is a PPR. To the guy on the other side. Please tell me he's available. I haven't picked it. I'm not being absolutely stupid here. So many players, but I'm going to have to pick him at the 109 here. Sorry, he is 109 in the in ADP, but I'm going to pick him at the 1001 here. He's not coming back to me. Like Colson Loveland, yes, I do. I think coming back to the well there, I'm going to see what comes back, because you only need one tight end in this league, so having multiple defeats the point, especially if you've got such a good tight end in Travis Kelce, who I feel James Conner, who is your workhorse. DeAndre Swift isn't going to make the lineup normally, especially with these flex wide receivers. So I want to gather more flexy, sexy wide receivers, and I'm going to go Darnell Mooney at the 10. I'm going to now kind of forgo the list, and I would go down to the end here, but yeah, make some gut picks and just fill out my team a little bit better here. But after my pick at the 10:01, Travis Etienne, Jaden Reed, I don't love any of these players. Jordan Love was a keeper, great to get him down in the 10th. Javonte Williams, Jackson Smith and Jigba at the 10. I don't know I don't know what kind of league this is at the ADP, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, I just thought he'd gone already. No, he was I'm being stupid. Brian Thomas Jr. and Jackson Smith and Jigba were keepers. Of course they're going there. Fantastic value if you can get them there. Matthew Golden, Ricky Pearsall, Cam Scatterboot, who I'm not high on anymore because I just don't know if it's going to be him. Evan Ingram, Kyler Murray in the 11th is sneaky good. Brock Bowers was a keeper. Colston Loveland goes. Ramondre Stevenson, Josh Downs, Jordan Mason, who I would have loved to have. I think he is a fantastic handcuff player. David Njoku, Tyler Warren. I've already talked about Colston Loveland. I do like Tucker Kraft. I think he gives you a really safe floor. Elsewhere, I like the idea of Keon Coleman potentially being having the breakout. Do I reckon it's going to happen? Probably not. I'm going to go a little bit on RDP here, ADP. Sorry. Oh, actually, I will talk about this in a couple of weeks' time. But Kyle Pitts is just staring at me now. I'm interested. I'm interested because he's basically going undrafted, and he has every opportunity to build a new relationship. Yes, it's like going back to an ex and saying he won't hurt me this time. He probably will, but I'm interested in him. I'm interested in Zach Charbonnet, but I'm going to have to pick up another one running back elsewhere. I think I need to go for the upside here, and I'm thinking about Jaden Higgins as well. Jake Ferguson is interesting to me. He's really high on my tight ends list as well. Justin Fields could be interesting to pair as a backup for Jaden Daniels, and I wouldn't be afraid of taking an 11th round pick here. So, this is a little bit of a throwaway pick, but I'm interested in him. And Jaden Daniels is in a position where he can get injured. So I'm going to pick up Justin Fields as backup. And I don't normally recommend taking backups in your quarterback positions, but on occasion. And I'm going to take Kyle Pitts. Why not? Let's risk it and see what happens. Last couple of rounds, this is my last meaningful pick before obviously it goes to defense and kickers. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, guys. Pick your defense and kickers first. If you're in the 10th spot in a 10-man league with 15 players, I have the opportunity to pick my favourites. And I've talked about it in an earlier episode this year about where you pick and the early impact of defenses and kickers and game script in the first couple of weeks. I'm going to stream these guys, but throw away 13th, 14th, 15th round pick. It doesn't matter. You're going to see all the rest of them go. So why don't I get the first pick of a bad bunch? And if I think they've got one of the easiest schedules as well. 49ers going up against the Seahawks, who, yes, could be sneaky good, but it could be Darnold. It could be Darnold throwing away and seeing a bunch of go. So I'm going to go the 49ers, and I want a kicker who can match up with one of my players. I'm just going to pick who kicks for Jaden Daniels. Who kicks for the Commanders these days? I can't even see it. I don't actually know because I don't generally like playing in leagues with kickers anymore. But I'm going to pick someone. I can do this way. I'm going to take a quick look at. Not Justin Fields. I'm going to take a quick look at Jaden Daniels and see who is kicker on the depth chart here. It is, of course, Matt Gay. Okay, let's pick up Matt Gay. I think he's, he's available there. Pick him up, and they're playing in the first week. They are playing the New York Giants. That makes perfect sense as well. Lots of points there for them, even though the defense of the New York Giants could be sneaky good this year. You then see all the kickers go, and then I have a free run at the last pick of the draft, and I can think about it now ahead of times. Is there anyone there? It's the same people who would have been available at the 13th and 14th round, but I can get them in the 15th. Now, in real life, will that happen? No. Someone will go early. Someone will pick the 49ers early. Someone will pick the Chiefs early. Someone will pick the Rams early. Whoever it's going to be. But if I think about, that's why I'm searching under Gay here. And I can come back to Keon Coleman. But really, I'm probably going to take who I think is the highest. I've got to take Isaac Guerendo. I've got to protect my first round pick, and that is my roster, guys. So using the tier-based drafting, yes, I kind of ditched it after round 10, but Jaden Daniels, Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, Lab McConkey, Terry McLaurin, Travis Kelce, Garrett Wilson, Matt Gay, San Francisco's 49ers, Jalen Waddle, DeAndre Swift, Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, and Guerendo. I think that's a fantastic team that anyone would be happy to be drafting from the 10. And that all came from my forethought and using this, which is so easy to use. Print it off if you want, write it on. It might be a bit less cumbersome than the way I did it, using it this way, but I'm going to get used to it. I'm going to be doing more of it. And every draft, you will see this come out that you are watching me do. If it is PPR, and even if it's not, I'm probably going to use the same logic. But guys, that is your lot today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. However you consume this media, I really appreciate you. If you want to pick up the tier kit, you can do. £1 at rugbywithpads.com. You can come support the pod. I'll be doing snippets of the tier listings as well. At Rugby with Pads at all the socials. If you like this, like, favourite, subscribe, share with a friend, get them involved in fantasy football. You know how it is. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening, and I will see you all very soon on the Virtual Gridiron.